What's up, everybody? It's the Pajama Pants Play, the best of the world. It's John Grande, live in living color, here with you on this 4:31 a.m. Monday morning. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, January 4th, if you will. Why am I up at this hour? I couldn't fucking sleep, to be honest with you guys. So I'm in my man cave right now, and I wanted to continue my top 20 horror movie reviews of all time, and of course we're talking about number 15 today. Number 15, The House by the Cemetery. Yes, one of my all-time favorite Lucio Fulci film. A very underrated Lucio Fulci film. Actually, a film that kind of gets overlooked when it comes, to City of Living Dead and the Beyond, part of that trilogy. And I always felt that this one was the best of the three. And people say I'm crazy, people say I'm a lunatic, but I'll try to like tell you guys why I love it so much and why it has that, kind of a nostalgic feel to me. Good story about this one. I kind of grew up with this one. I think I was 6 years old when I fucking saw this movie. So I'm sure probably people are like, what the fuck? Why are you watching shit like this at 6 years old? Yeah, I've always been a horror mark. I just have been. And granted, I never really understood the movie when I was 6 years old. Obviously, because I was 6 years old, and it's a fucking crazy ass movie. But we'll get there. Let me get into the plot of this one first. Actually, no, I'll continue my story about when I was 6 years old. I actually rented this one from Hollywood Video as a kid. I always just dug the cover of it. And actually, the cover of it has like a major spoiler on it. Like, I won't ruin it or anything. But I just always was captivated by it. I was like, man, that thing looks fucking scary. I mean, there's one of the, the killer in this movie is kind of on the cover of it, which is, I don't know why they did that, but I don't know, as a kid, I was always like, man, I gotta see this, So, after I, screamed, begged, cursed, and banged my head on the floor till it bled, my mother, obviously, begrudgingly got me the tape to rent, and, I remember watching this, and I was just like, man, like, this is fucking crazy. Like, this is one of the most vicious, like, there's a lot of vicious and gore and violence, and it's just a crazy ass film. Later, I realized that this is actually Lucio Fulci's response to The Shining. This was like, he wasn't impressed with The Shining. Why? I don't know. Shining's better than anything he ever made, in my opinion. You'll see The Shining later on this list, I promise. And this movie doesn't hold a candle to that movie, but I do think that it's kind of, criminally underrated. I mean, it's just, I don't know, like, people really love The Beyond, and I love The Beyond as well. I love City of Living Dead, but I just always liked this one the best, probably because I grew up with it and I saw it the youngest, I saw it first. So I'll get into the plot of this one. It's basically about this doctor by the name of Dr. Boyle and his wife and kid, his family, and he buys this house in Boston, and pretty much they're getting warnings right away that they shouldn't go. The son, Bob, is getting these warnings from this like little ghost girl, and she's like, don't go to this fucking house, it's bad news, and you guys won't walk out alive, and it's just all about that creepy. It's almost like the little girl's building up the legend of the movie, before you really get into the, kind of climax of the movie. And I think that really is a key in almost every horror film. Like, you have to set up a good legend. You have to tell a good story. And this movie, I think, does. And a lot of Italian movies, I don't think does. There are films such as Suspiria that, granted, there's not much story to it, but it's a fucking classic because it's shot well, the music is well in it, well done, and some of the visuals and how far ahead of his time Argento was. And, then there are ones that, kind of had that story that you can follow, such as Argento's Phenomena, and this one. I think you could follow this story better than The Beyond and City of Living Dead. Most disagree. It's just personally my thought on it. And I personally, I'll also say, I love films, Italian films with no plots, because it's all about the visuals, fuck logic. Logic is thrown out the window with movies like that. But this movie kind of has a cool little story that you can follow, and it has everything in The Beyond and The City of Living Dead and, any Argento film that you can really, like, kind of gush over. There's fucking gore galore in this movie. It's shot really well. The atmosphere is so there. People say it's not. I think it is. I was always... I don't know, man. This house they picked, it fucking, I don't know what it is, man. It scares me to this day. Like, look at that fucking house. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just perfect. Like, they couldn't have picked a better house, I think, personally. yeah, so they move to the house, and you know, the really weird thing in the film, this woman kind of just shows up, and she's actually really hot, and she has really nice, like, greenish blue eyes, like they're like aqua colored. And I always thought, I was like, I remember as a kid, like, that was one of the first girls I ever noticed. I was like, God damn, this woman's really fucking hot. Yeah, so side note there. But yeah, she shows up, and she's kind of like the nanny. There's no explanation as to why, but it's just kind of really fucking funny in the film. Like, she just shows up. I remember even as a 6-year-old child, I was like, what, like, when did this bitch show up? And I remember showing it to my father, and he was like, I have no idea. That doesn't make any sense. It's Italian, John. He probably should have asked me, why are you 6 years old and watching Italian horror films from 1981? I don't know. I'm a weird kid, but I love the horror, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so pretty much the father is, you know, slowly, little by little, learning that this house was actually owned by a doctor, like a mad, evil scientist doctor called Dr. Freudstein. And, you know, it's like he was crazy and he did all these things to his wife and kids. I really don't want to divulge a lot of this because I feel like a lot of, you know, typical horror fans have not seen this one. Of course the diehards have seen it like me, you know, and I think a lot of you would disagree with me on this one. And I think this belongs on the top 20 list. A lot of people would say The Beyond and City of the Living Dead over this one, but I guess I'm different. This is, to me, this was always the return of it's almost like the Return of the Jedi of, you know, that trilogy. It's, you know, everybody gushes over City of the Living Dead and The Beyond, almost like A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, and this one's almost like the one where like, oh, it doesn't hold up as well. I don't know. I was a kid. When I was a kid, Return of the Jedi was my favorite Star Wars film. When I was a kid, this was my favorite film of that trilogy. Granted, I hadn't seen the two films of that trilogy. I've seen them now, but I don't know. I guess the third film of a trilogy kind of has a charm to a kid. I don't know if anybody, you know, knows what I'm saying about that. Totally comment below to see if I'm not the only one, if I'm not the only crazy one over here. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's some great atmospheric shots with like this door, and they have the key, and they're trying to open the door, and like the basement is so creepy. I mean, cobwebs, dust, all this stuff. And there are some violent fucking scenes in this movie. Like there's one part where they open the door of this cellar, and this bat flies out and attacks the father. And it sounds comical. It actually is kind of comical. I mean, even as a kid, I thought it was funny. And he's getting bit on the hand, and he fucking stabs the bat, and it's like all this blood is everywhere. I mean, the bat does look fake, I won't lie to you guys, but it's just such a bloodbath that you can't help but like applaud it, man. I just think it's so fucking well done. Like, it's just so sick. And, you know, the variety of kills in this movie are really, really, really well done, I think, too. I mean, you have a lot of neck kills. Actually, the movie opens, what I always thought was cool, the movie opens kind of like a slasher film. You know, you have your, you know, girl and guy typically in this house. They actually were fucking around or whatever. And, you know, she's putting her shirt on and stuff. You get to see boobies. And she's looking around for him, and she finds him dead with scissors in his stomach. And she kind of backs up, and you just see the fucking knife go right through her head and out her mouth. Like almost splitting her teeth. And it's fucking brutal. And it looks great to this day. And then she kind of gets dragged away. And there's the opening credits scenes, you know, and that beautiful score that I've always been a huge mark for. I love it. I just think it's like a master. If you want to go horror movie music, look no further than the Italians. They fucking nailed it. Goblin, Lucio Fulci's guys. I don't know who did the music specifically. I don't know if it was Lucio Fulci specifically. But I mean, I just think he just really nailed it. He just hit it on the head, man. I think the score of this movie not only fits the movie perfectly, but it fits that haunted house vibe perfectly. And there are problems with the film. I mean, the little boy Bob's, his dubbing is so fucking bad in this movie. Like, and a lot of people make fun of it to this day, and a lot of people are bothered by it. I personally wasn't. Like, as a kid, I was always like, what the fuck kind of thing. And it's even to this day, it's like, what? Couldn't somebody have like tried to redub it or make it look a little bit better? But it just doesn't bother me. I think it's one of those things, when you've seen enough Italian films, the dubbing just doesn't fucking bother you after a while. It's just like, okay, we've been here, we've done this, we've established this, it's fucking bad. Let's just watch the movie and enjoy it for like the visuals and stuff. And I think this movie hits everything. I think it has great atmosphere. I think it has a great story to it about, you know, the legend of Dr. Freudstein and, you know, this family, and they're trying to survive, and there's all these brutal kills in between that kind of keep you on the edge of your seat, and, you know, there's this crazy bat flying around and being stabbed, and there's also this great, you know, climax scene in the basement where actually the kid sees the decapitated head roll down the steps and he's screaming. And I remember even as a kid, I was like, that's fucked, man. I won't tell you whose decapitated head it was. But it's just awesome, man. I love it. And then like the parents come down there and they're battling Dr. Freudstein, and he's all fucked up, and he has a kind of a cool zombie look to him. People complain about that too. I think he looks awesome, personally, what I think. And I don't know, I just think this movie really hits the nail on the head. I think it's a perfect movie. Like, I wouldn't change anything about it. I really like the twist ending to it. I won't ruin anything, obviously, for you if you haven't seen the film. I think it's one you definitely need to go see, though. I think it's one of the best Italian horror films ever made. And a lot of people laugh at me when I say that. A lot of people roll their eyes, look the other way, look left, look right. But I think it's a perfect film. I really, really love, I really, really dig, I really, really appreciate Lucio Fulci's House by the Cemetery, and, you know, it's just one of those classics, man. I love it, absolutely. Perfect movie. Yeah, though, so that's going to be all for now. I hope you guys dig the new setting a little bit. This was just something I'm trying. I don't know if this is going to stay permanent, but it's also part of the fact that it's almost 5 a.m. in the morning and I'm wide awake doing movie reviews on YouTube. So take that for what it's worth, ladies and gentlemen. But that's going to be all for now. I'm John Grande, the Pajama Pants Player, the best in the world. You've been chilling them, guys. Peace.